Hey beautiful people, this is a series of 4 videos that look at passion and career fulfillment. This one is how do you find passion in your work? Most people think about it as finding the perfect job or pursuing the perfect job, sort of like winning the lottery. But passion is something that can be built right where you are if you know how to do it. Hi, I'm Jennifer Kenny. I'm the best-selling author of The Innovation Mindset and award-winning author of 100% Capacity. I work with leadership teams to help them build their leadership capacity and their innovation capacity. I work specifically with project teams in highly complex technical environments, and I work directly with the team members as well to help them be able to build their innovation capacity over time. And I also run a program called Get Promoted, which helps mid-career people move themselves to the next level. When we think about passion, many of us think about fireworks, many of us think about excitement, many of us think about jumping out of bed, really, really wanting to be able to do something. And if you get to do that on a daily basis, kudos to you, it might be a little bit exhausting, but that's only going to last for a short period of time because that's the way passion ebbs and flows. If instead we think about passion as the energy that we derive based on what we contribute, and we derive it from using our strengths that we recognize as our strengths and that other people value because they're strengths they don't necessarily have, what we see is that we're in a position to be able to grow and cultivate passion for what it is that we do by building a deeper understanding of ourselves, a deeper understanding of what it is that brings us joy, what it is that helps us amplify our passion, and a deeper understanding of how we contribute to others. Gallup says that only 15% of employees worldwide feel engaged. So if you don't feel passion coming directly from your job, then you are definitely not alone. But one of the things I want to talk about in this video is that passion is something that is slow building, that is something that grows over time, that is something that requires trial and error for you to really be able to understand how to work with it and how to develop it and how to grow it and how it serves you and how it serves your career and how it serves the people around you. One of the most effective ways to really begin this process of recognizing and building your own passion and your own capacity to hold that passion and work with it is to start off with curiosity. So curiosity can be outward facing or inward facing. In this instance, I recommend you do both. So you're curious about what makes you excited, what brings you joy, what makes you feel appreciated, what makes you feel successful, what makes you feel powerful, what makes you feel like you're adding value and you're bringing joy to yourself and others. If you start tracking that and paying attention to that over a period of time, you'll begin to recognize that there are certain moments when you go, "Ooh, I finished a project, that was fantastic. Ooh, I got budgeting for another project, that was great. Ooh, I did a presentation. Oh, I worked with the people in a workshop. Oh, I helped and mentored some people. Oh, I built empathy maps and I walked into a meeting and lo and behold, a whole bunch of things made sense to me." If you start thinking in those terms, you start recognizing those sort of peak moments that bring you joy out of a curiosity around what during a day stands out for me, you will begin to start tuning into what you're really passionate about. There's a fantastic book called The Curious Mind, and it is called A Secret to a Bigger Life. It's written by a guy called Brian Grazer, and he spent most of his life in Hollywood and ended up being, I think, a movie producer. But it's his process and his day-to-day of building his understanding of what really brought him joy, what made him feel successful, what ultimately led to an amazing career for him. And he did it all based on curiosity. He was a guy who was wandering around asking questions, both of himself and of others. The other thing to look at is curiosity around other people. So if you have a boss or someone in your organization and you see that they are consistently in a place of quiet, passionate serenity. They're excited about what they're doing. They're committed to what they're doing, but they're not in a showy, explosive fireworks kind of way. They're about it in a really grounded, they know who they are way. Those people are really valuable to talk to. And you can say to somebody, look, I'm really curious about building my passion for my work. And immediately they will know that you're someone who is self-reflective, someone who is ambitious, which is a good thing, someone who is looking to develop themselves as a leader, and they will have done something similar for themselves, so they'll recognize it in you and they'll want to help you. And if you say to them, I'm interested in building this, and I see you as someone who's done this, and I'm really interested in learning how you did it and how you go about it. And if there's someone who doesn't understand that and doesn't make any sense to them, then they'll say no, in which case you're fine. But if there's someone who's gone through that process for themselves, they'll be happy to help you, and they may even end up becoming a mentor for you. So curiosity is really a great place to start. I talk in another video about empathy and empathy maps, and you can find that video here. But what's really valuable in there is really being able to listen to other people and understand what motivates them, what brings them joy, what they care about, what they want to be known for. Do that for yourself. Do a certain level of empathy for yourself. Build an empathy map for yourself and begin to look at what are the things that really excite me about what it is that I'm doing. The other thing to do is to connect to values. So Deloitte says that employees who see purpose in their work are 3 times more satisfied. If you understand how to be able to build purpose for yourself, rather than have purpose kind of put upon you, someone else's purpose that you're contributing to, which is great, but it is not enough. If you start listening to yourself, as I mentioned earlier, and you start building empathy for yourself and you start being curious about what brings you joy, you're going to start asking yourself questions like, what am I excited about? What do I care about? What do I want to be known for? What do I appreciate being recognized for? What do I want to accomplish in my lifetime? If you think about it, we spend on average 30 to 35 years of our lives in work, working for a company or another organization. And if we're not using some of that time to create mastery for ourselves that brings us joy, we're really missing out on an opportunity, and we are just going in there for the paycheck. Now, I'm not saying the paycheck isn't important, it is, but if you're not being a certain level of self-aware and almost selfish about understanding why you're there, what matters to you, what brought you there in the first place, what it is that you want to be able to cultivate and foster in other people, then you're missing out on a big opportunity to be able to hone in on what really brings you passion and joy. There's another beautiful book, sorry that I'm recommending 2 books in one video, but there's another beautiful little book. These are both small books. There's another beautiful little book called Mastery. I think it's The Key to Joy and Happiness is what he did as his subtitle. And it's a guy called George Leonard. It's an absolute beautiful little book. It's small, it's simple, it's manageable. You can read through it in a couple of hours. And what he does in that book is he invites us to recognize that we can become masterful in something if done over a lifetime. Now, I'm not saying that you have to pick one thing. I'm not saying that you have to become masterful. What I am saying is that we can aspire to a level of mastery. We don't have to reach it, but we can absolutely aspire to it, because just that dedication, that focus, that humility, that interest, that reading, learning, understanding, recognizing other people who care about similar things to you, that is a huge generator of joy and passion in your life and in your life's work. If you're going to spend 8, 12, 14, 16 hours a day doing a job that does not bring you joy, does not inspire passion in you, then you're really missing an opportunity to, as Brian Grazer says, live a bigger life. When you read the George Leonard book, and absolutely encourage you to even skim it, and you start thinking about mastery as something that you want to pursue in a particular area, it gives you a level of self-assurance, of confidence, of gravitas around what it is that you do and what it is that you want to be able to express into the world. And it also allows other people to be able to get you in terms of what you care about, what matters to you, what you want to be masterful in. So I've dedicated 35 years of my life to understanding how it is that human teams build innovation capacity and how we innovate better together. And Gil Pratt, who's the lead scientist at Toyota Motor Corporation, refers to it as the hardest part of innovation. Thank you very much, Gil. But to me, it's that piece of how do we bring people together? How do we get them to engage with each other, to think together, to co-invent together, to create together, so that they are creating innovation that is bigger than any of them could have done individually. Am I masterful at it? I don't know, and I don't really care. What I care about is I've dedicated myself to it and I've produced a lot of value for a lot of people. I have made other people's lives better. I've made my own life better, and hopefully we'll be making yours better by watching this video, and hopefully it's valuable to you. The other one is the notion of job crafting. I think is a pretty powerful one. It's the idea of, it's in alignment with designing your life. It's in alignment with life by design, with really figuring out how can I be a customer for my own success, for my own joy, for my own mastery, for my own passion. And once you start taking that kind of responsibility and you start looking at how do I craft the job that really supports my passion, you start looking at what are different kinds of offers that you're going to make that allow you to be able to engage with people who are doing things that are more aligned with what it is you want to do at work. And you start building your capacity to be able to identify people who care about what you care about and find opportunities to work at the intersection. I do a lot of coaching work, executive coaching one-on-one, but I also do group work. And what I found in the group work, which is one of my passions, is that there are people who are now stepping up into roles that they have pretty much designed for themselves. They begin to broaden their horizons and they begin to look at, I understand what I care about, what I want to be known for, what matters to me. I understand what other people do. I'm looking for what the intersections are. I'm listening to people differently. And what they're doing is they're making offers into those intersections. And I've done a number of videos on the process of making offers and how to go about doing it and how to go about picking effective customers and doing that design work and the execution work at the same time. But what I'm interested in here is the idea that you begin to think of yourself as your customer for your own satisfaction and your own success at work. Now, I understand that work is not always easy. I understand you're dealing with politics and you're dealing with difficult people, but one of the things that I have consistently seen is that the people who start taking responsibility for and designing their own work are the people who actually end up rising above a certain level of that and who have a lot more tolerance and patience for people who are still kind of stuck in there, because you're always going to have those people. But as you start job crafting and you start designing what it is that you want to do, you will start fueling the passion that allows you to really be able to find passion in your work, grow that passion, implement that passion, understand how that passion drives you and how that passion brings you joy and success. As you start thinking about how do you find passion in your career, start thinking about it also in terms of where you want to move to next. And I'm not suggesting necessarily that you move company, but certainly move around in your organization. Maybe get yourself promoted. I have a promotion readiness assessment that speaks to some of these issues and that will help you assess whether or not you're taking a level of responsibility and being real enough with yourself that you're ready to move on to the next level in terms of promotion. It's my promotion readiness assessment. It's available for free on my website. Website is www.jenniferkenny.com, and it's promotion readiness assessment under the free resources button there. And if you take that assessment and you find it useful, let me know, but also use it as a tool to be able to start thinking, what am I ambitious about? What do I want to move to next? How does that fuel my passion? As you start looking to really build practices around building your passion, and you remember that passion isn't found, it's not something you stumble upon, it's something that is created through a practice of consistent trial and error and through aligning your strengths and values and curiosity with work that you currently have or work that you might want to do in the future, and really figuring out where that alignment goes. As you go through this process and you do the assessment, I really wish you the best of luck with finding passion and finding out what passion means for you in your work. And that will put you on a path to being an incredibly effective, powerful, and amplifying leader. I wish you the best of luck.